So we're always talking about the difference between learning and theories and intellectualizing, and we talk about the direct experience of something. And you don't really like just have a direct experience. You have to create the conditions for a direct experience to arise, or for there to be a true manifestation of an emptiness that can be experienced. So he says empty, yet not empty. We talk about dropping off all discursive thought. And then we said, well, if we dropped off all thought, how could we recognize anything happening after all thought is dropped? But that's because we just think about thought from the way we have experienced it throughout our human life, tapping in to the powers of the ordinary mind. So there is a kind of thought, but it's not like a worldly kind of thought. So you don't go from something to nothing and everything is obliterated. But there is a way, for instance, if you say one has an intuition, one has the arousing of some kind of a feeling that creates a field around them. You can directly know that, you can directly experience it, but you're not thinking it up. You're tapping into what's already present that was obscured before. And so in this way, you're experiencing it rather than actually creating it. But you have created through thinking, you've established the conditions for that experience to arise or to manifest, or for the expression of what comes next to come forward. So today, yesterday we did a little jam session before our Vajrasattva rituals and petitions, and it just sounded really good. So I thought today we would do that, and I'll talk a little bit about stages of development. The first stage, I mean, we don't even consider it a stage until one gets to the stage of joy. And that stage of joy arises when one rejoices at realizing just a partial aspect. Come in, Brian. Just a partial aspect of truth. And each stage of realization takes us to a greater or a deeper joy. So it doesn't matter if one is at a beginning stage. Whatever stage one is at, one comes to the completion of that stage when a certain level of joy arises in you, and that joy lifts you, and it propels you into the next state. That's why when he talks about the jhanas, and the first jhana, it's like filling a cup. You don't get to the second jhana until the cup is full and it overflows. So it catapults you into the second jhana. You don't get into the third until there is the fullness, of experience in that second jhana, and it overflows. So you don't have to try to get into a second. All you have to do is try to get into the first. That's it. And you stay in it until when it has reached its fullness and it overflows, you will find yourself in the second jhana. So you can't learn how to go through, and get in the stages of jhana. There has to be the true experience of the immersion, full to overflowing, and that takes you into your next levels of experience. So that's why we should repent whenever we have frustration about what level we are on, or what we realize, or what we don't understand. Number one, it shows that you don't understand the principles governing Dharma. And Number two, it shows your grasping and your impatience and your greed for accomplishment that has not been earned. So don't fall into that trap. Whenever you start to feel frustrated because you don't understand something, or because you haven't realized a certain state, you can just simply say, how could I expect to experience that if I have not entered that state? That's it. Just haven't entered the state. And so don't struggle or press to try to enter into the state. What you should do rather is try to do what?
Create the causes and conditions.
Yeah, but keep coming. You have to fully invest yourself right where you are until you come to the fullness of it. So being, I won't say satisfied, but being content and rejoicing in what you have accomplished, what states you have reached, what you have realized. And it's that kind of gratitude that brings the fullness of joy and allows one to finish the course. And then one finds himself in a different state. And that's the only way to get there. Any other way is illegitimate. It will fail you ultimately, and you topple back, and you'll come every 3 weeks saying, okay, so now I abandon that, but a month later you'll come back and say, but I abandoned that way, because you'll just keep toppling back. The proof is really in the pudding. So this is a song that Big Man, I call him Big Man, Richard wrote on Wani Pebe Human. I saw your video online, so if you want to go into your song in any kind of way, you can just feel free to do that, and I won't try to introduce it. And if you just want to go into your song, you can do that.
Okay,
and I'd like for us to welcome Sue. Sue is one of my long distance students, and she's from New York. I don't know a lot to say. She's the Vice President of Academic Affairs at Columbia, and some other things, Dean and something else, and she plays guitar. That might be one of the greatest things that secondary to being a Dharma seeker. And the next time she comes, I will be giving her the refuge. We always say you gotta have the refuges before you can get anything. But we've come to know that those refuges aren't genuine refuges if you don't know what you're taking refuge in. So, she comes from a Buddhist family, a Christian background. So she's right in here with us, Buddha Master Love, Jesus. And so it's just such a nice, lovely coming together. You don't have to struggle with someone who's not interested. You don't have to struggle with someone who doesn't have the affinity and try to make them have it because you want them to have it. But when affinity naturally arises, it's so sweet and it's so beautiful, and that's what true Sangha is. So I'm going to let you go ahead and take over and do whatever.
I think I'll just go with the song.
He's very shy.
Sometimes the darkness calls me, swears my soul to keep. That's when I start drinking, drink myself to sleep. I drink to all that's holy, and I drink to the whole in me. Drink to all that's broken. Drink to everything. Oh, Mani Padme Hum.
Mani Padme Hum.
I will not bear this burden
I
alone.
will not bear this burden alone.
Oh, Mani Padme Hum.
Mani Padme Hum.
Such a heavy load
Such a heavy load.
I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Sometimes when sleep is falling, in the distance I can see a tiny candle burning, a new reality. That's when I start hoping, that's when I pray. One day I'll awaken, it's not so far away. Oh, Mani Padme
Mani Padme Hum.
I will not bear this burden
Will
alone.
not bear this burden alone.
Oh, Mani Padme Hum.
Mani Padme Hum.
Such a heavy load
Such a heavy load.
I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Oh, Mani Padme
Oh, Mani Padme Hum.
will not bear this burden
Bear
alone.
this burden alone.
Mani Padme
Mani Padme Hum.
Such a heavy load
How will I go? Oh, Mani Padme Hum.
This song's for all who suffer, for all who've lost their way, for the ones that can't remember bright and sunny day. This song's for all who hunger to awaken from this dream. This song's for all who wonder, it's still too late for me.
Oh, Mani Padme Hum.
Will not bear this burden
Will
alone.
not bear this burden alone. Such a heavy load.
Oh, Mani Padme Hum.
Oh, Mani Padme
Oh,
Hum.
Mani Padme Hum.
Will not bear this burden
Will
alone.
not bear this burden alone.
Oh, Mani Padme
Oh, Mani Padme
Such a
Hum.
heavy load
Such a heavy load I
I
will
will
let
let
go.
Oh, Mani Padme Hum.
Oh, Mani Padme Hum.
I will not bear this burden
Will not bear this burden alone.
Oh, Mani Padme
Mani Padme Hum.
Such a heavy load I will let go.
enter into the chant. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Will not bear this burden alone. Oh, it's a heavy yoke I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Will not bear this burden alone. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Such a heavy yoke I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Will not bear this burden alone. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Heavy load, I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Will not bear this burden alone. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Such a heavy load I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. I will not bear this burden alone. Oh, Mani Padme, such a heavy load I will let go. Mani Padme Hum. No, Mani Padme Hum. Will not bear this burden alone. No, Mani Padme Hum. Such a heavy load I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Will not bear this burden alone. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Such a heavy load I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme, oh, Mani Padme, oh, Mani Padme Hum. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Will not bear this burden alone. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. It's such a heavy load I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. So this is a place that we move to. It's like needing language prajna to lay out a theory or an idea and say, now you work with that. And what chanting does is it helps us enter into the reality of what we're chanting or what we're singing, and we start to know the energy and the power of it beyond the mere words of it. And part of that comes from what we bring to it, but there is also a meeting, there is an engagement, and that's what we're doing. We're setting the stage for it. And when we do this, it's like, oh, we'll do 108 chants. We'll do 7 chants. You know, we'll chant this 7 times. We'll chant this 3 times. 3 hardly does anything for you. 7 is like tedious and arduous. But when you go to 108, and maybe that's just a big number, it just means you just keep going and going and going until it creates a kind of a wheel here at the heart mandala. And as that wheel begins to spin, the energy shifts. It's not us putting forth effort. Something has come to meet us, and it elevates us in our mind. It supersedes our mind, like we're singing the song, "Oh, money, pay me home. I will not bear this burden alone." And that's it. Now I'm giving it up. I'm recognizing that I have helps. If the Sangha really understood the 3 jewels, we say it's the Buddha, the Dharma, and it's the Sangha. But we have a low-level impression, an idea. You want to sit in the chair that's easier for you, Maureen? Oh, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, you can just sit your stuff and.
No more music, right?
We're gonna do this at the end.
Okay.
So you can so our practice can't be phony. Our practice can't be false. The Buddha Master says that we should not ponder, we should not conceptualize, do not seek, we should not investigate, we should just act naturally. And part of acting naturally is entering into what we're saying or what we're doing so that our thoughts, our speech, and our action line up. That's what acting naturally is. And so when he talks about do not ponder, it means like just habitually thinking over things. There is a time to ponder, but that's not the action phase. The pondering phase is to help bring a disrupted, a confused mind into some state of coherence, into some lining up with something, lining up with some principle, or lining up.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want it?
It's
tough by the camera, though.
Sorry. Well, maybe that'll help you stay awake in case my talk is a little boring. So the key to cultivation is that you absolutely have to leave behind all sorts of intelligence or thinking that's derived from the listening and derived from the thinking that you do, and thoroughly awake, he says, thoroughly awake to emptiness. And that's what's hard for us to do because we're used to using our minds to figure out what's going on, what is what. But there's a place for that, and that's when you're in the investigation place where you're trying to understand a concept that will change the way you think about things and the way you execute in life. But that's when one is doing the study and when one is doing the contemplative illumination, but then you have to let it all go. So at the time that you're actually doing practice, you are not thinking, you forget about everything you've learned, forget about you forget about what you're holding tightly to your vow, holding tightly to your view. You forget about wanting to do the right thing, be the right person, make the right move, say the right things. You forget about all of that, and then you just act naturally. And after you act naturally, you'll know what else you need to work on. But if you don't act naturally, you'll never know what you need to work on because all your actions become contrived and your thinking becomes insincere, and you stay or devolve into a greater state of confusion because you don't know your own mind. And so one can think like they're so bad. One can think like they're so good. One can, but you don't know your own mind because you're using the thinking mind to prop up your thoughts, your speech, and your actions. So we have to test ourselves in this way and just act naturally and see what rises up. And if it's good, keep going with it. If it's not good, change. You know. But if we don't see it, we can't make those changes. I tell you that most of you here like to seek and to investigate. And looking for your original nature and looking for the flavor of emptiness, you also try to seek and investigate. If you seek and investigate, you will not find what you're searching for. That deluded thinking will block you. How could you make use of that? After you've put aside seeking and investigating, what you're searching for will simply appear. If you look for emptiness, it's like carrying a baby on your back, then looking for the baby. You'll never find them. That's why the saying goes, do not ponder, do not conceptualize, do not seek, do not investigate. Does that mean that there's never a time that you ponder, investigate, seek? No, it doesn't mean that there's never a time, but it's after you have done it, then you set aside and you just act naturally. Do you see how much stuck? How much didn't stick? You'll see how the current situation causes latencies. They were beneath the ground. They were beneath the soil. You didn't even know they were there. But how they will now start to come up based on a certain condition arising in your life, and you'll say like, oh, where did that come from? You know, I didn't even know that it was there. But that's only if you're wise enough at that moment to stop searching, seeking, analyzing, and investigating. Because if you continue, even in that moment, you won't see it. You think I'm A-okay. Somebody will have to tell you. Then you're going to get pissed off with them. So it's better for you to see for yourself. But don't get pissed off. Just see it. It says, do not care that there is cultivated power. Do not care that there is a Buddha. Do not care that there is Dharma. Do not care about any of that. So a lot of times, you know, people are going for years and they stay the same old person, you know, because they have not seen themselves. And they just say, oh, that's so and so. That's just how they are, you know. That's a sad commentary when somebody writes you off that way. Oh, Well, that's you know how they are. I have so few close acquaintances, basically, Dharma and my students, that I can't even call an arbitrary name because the only names I can think about are names of people that I know in such short. Let's see, is there a Mary in here? Okay, so you know Mary. That's how Mary is. You know, Wilberforce. I know it's no Wilberforce. You know how Wilberforce is. He's got his view and that's it. You know, you're not going to be able to do it. It's that sad when somebody writes you off that way. And so understand that there are steps and there are patterns, and that's why we use a process of inculcation to help you shift your mind. You know, so it means you hear the same things over and over. You hear it with a little salt in it, then you hear it again with a little sugar in it, so that sort of changes, you know, the complexion of it. You hear it with a little pepper in it. Sometimes it's just bland. Sometimes it's softly offered. Sometimes it's harshly offered. You know, but you find all the different ways that it can appear in your life in that way. And then there is the talk about finding our original nature, you know. And so I'll give emptiness a try. I mean, that's the big thing today. Do you know that? In Buddhism, it just goes in waves. Now everybody's talking about emptiness. First, everybody was talking about mindfulness. Then everybody started talking about compassion. Then everybody started talking about wisdom. And then now everybody's talking about emptiness. And very few have any clue of what it's all about, or how to apprehend the state. So I'm wondering what's going to come next. Well, they got all the way to the top of the mountain there. Maybe they'll just start going down the other side. And when they do, they'll start giving that, what do you call that? When that story about going up to the top of the mountain and what's left to do, nothing but come down the other side. So expect the Dharma to begin to decline and devolve, because they've reached the pinnacle, but they have not apprehended it or understood what it really is. So it's wonderful. We're so fortunate to have a Buddha master who can explain it, but not in lofty, romantic, flowery language, but just in everyday vernacular, everyday language, so that we can really begin to truly penetrate it. And then the words take on a different meaning for us as we're walking it out in our life. And that's what cultivation is. So cultivation, it involves study. Cultivation, it involves meditation. Cultivation, it does involve concentration. Cultivation also involves letting go. It involves all these things, but in the right order, the right sequence. And that's the whole difference around the story of the plumber who charged $1,000 and was only at work for 5 minutes. And he said, 5 minutes? I need an itemized statement. And he said, $1 for tapping, $999 for knowing where to tap. And so this practice is like that. So realizing that there's neither practice nor non-practice in cultivating yourself. You need not make your cultivation overly elaborate. And so I say, don't try to do everything, just do a little. And when one does a little, it becomes much when we enter into it with our full heart and with our full mind. So we could have been singing Om Mani Padme Hum, you know, and we're just singing the syllables, singing the words. And we may be trying to harmonize. We may be trying to learn the syllables. We may have gotten, and it's not a true translation, but people kept saying, what does that mean? What does that mean? And so the monks just gave you a meaning for it. But those Sanskrit words, those are not the actual meanings, but but it turns your attention or your heart into a certain direction when it starts to speak of the lotus in the mud, and just understanding that just out of this muck that we find ourselves in, right here is where the ascent begins. It's not when I get out of this, I'm going to be like that, but it's right here in the midst of it is where we start to take our flight. So I like the lyrics of the song, and I don't remember all of them, but it spoke of people in different situations and states of trouble, and um, and and it wasn't like when they get out, I'll praise you. It's right there in the midst of it that they take not just hope, but they take action right in the midst of their troubles, right in the midst of their confusion, right in the midst of our difficulty. Actually, where else could you begin? And so we should see our troubles and our anxieties almost like uh, I can't exactly say I call them friends. You know, I might call them frenemies. You know, because they are the ones who actually give us the impetus for abandoning them. You know, once we really see them, then we move towards uh, abandoning them, and we can call it parting as such sweet sorrow, you know, and letting go of those ways. We love our habitual tendencies. No, we do, even though we say we don't, we do. Um, uh, and sometimes that takes acknowledging, you know, like I like me. I like the way I am, you know, or we say we don't want something. And today I feel particularly happy because just yesterday, what day did we have class? Yesterday? That was yesterday. Yesterday morning. And we had such a lively discussion, and everybody really gets something out of these classes, and I don't know what you got out of yesterday. But yesterday, I was really speaking about a tendency that I have, or a habit that I have, and and honestly, I like it. I don't want to give it. I don't want to give it up. I want to give it up for, my objective in the Dharma, but my objective for satisfying Pannavati, I don't want to give it up right now. So I was like, there's no point in me calling that one out because I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it tonight. I know, given a certain situation and setup, I'm going to do this because I just like it. And I told you how one time I got into a habit of watching TV because I'm just awake most of the night, and I saw a show and I started watching that show, and it's like a detective show, so it has a little bit of something in it, but it's a sophomoric detective show, and I watched, and it has 155 episodes. No, yeah, 155 episodes. And I watched the series 135 times. I just let it run all the time. And I said, this makes no sense. This is a waste of time. I mean, I'm in the bed, I'm not doing anything, but just for that to be going. And I couldn't, I just wanted to do it. I'm not hurting anybody. So I did it. And I looked and I said, wow, now I understand how habits form, you know. It was like after a hard day of working and doing all my Dharma work, I'm just giving myself 45 minutes of relaxation, and then I just let it run the next few episodes, and you know, and think nothing of it until one day I realized how much of not time it was taking, but how much energy it was taking, and I could tell you every story and what happened. I'm trying to think before the what was it? Mentalist. The mentalist. I'm trying to use. I'm saying I'm doing Dharma practice now, right? Because I'm trying to think ahead of the mentalist to see if I'm sharpening my. You know, I had all kinds of reasons why this was okay to watch, and then one day, you know, I just said this is foolishness, and I gave it up. Well, now I've replaced that with reading, you know, and I was reading a novel. Started off really good. You know how we start off doing something really good. I'm saying because I have a view of how, you know, reality plays out. After all, I'm a Dharma practitioner. I understand cause and condition, you know, and I think that this is good and this is not good. So one time when I was meditating, Buddha Master impressed upon me that that there is the beautiful in the ugly. There's the ugly in the beautiful, and it doesn't matter whether something is good or evil. That's all a worldly view. It's only when one enters into the pure space of non-differentiation, and there is neither good nor evil there in that mind. So that mind can't even perceive evil, and it can't perceive good. And so I was like, well, how does one get that kind of mind? You know. So I said, well, I don't have that kind of mind. I see something, I say that's definitely evil. And I see something, I say that's really good. But he's already told me I've missed something in this dichotomy. So I'm trying to figure out how to get to a middle place where it's, you know, all along one tangent, one line. So now I'm looking for the good in the bad. I'm looking for the bad or the shortcomings in the good. I don't have that much experience in life in worldly matters because I'm not engaged, you know. So, I mean, I see you all on Tuesday, on Sunday, and a couple of Wednesday and Sunday, and a couple other days I'm at the Dharma Hall or I'm doing my service. So I come in contact with this only, you know. So I said, I need more experience because I have forgotten what it's like to encounter all the vicissitudes of life, the people you encounter, the situations out there, you know. And I can't have sympathy for people who live that kind of life, not true sympathy, because I have forgotten what it's even like, you know, forgotten what it's like. Panyadeepa and Kay and I, for 30 some years, we've never had an argument. So I don't know what that's like. So now we're coming to a place and there's a little argument here, a little disagreement there. It's very perturbing to me, and I find that my skills are not that good with it because I'm no longer acquainted with it, you know. And because I don't see that, that means I'm prone to argument myself, you know. And so I said, okay, I need to get a handle on this. So the best way, I don't want to get back into watching dramas on TV because I see how addictive that is. So I'm not going to do that. I'll read a novel. Started reading novels. In the last 2 months, I've read about 50 novels. And not because I was trying to learn something from them, but because I enjoyed reading the novels. So I can see these latent seeds get watered and then they pop up. And that's what happens to us. And that's why we fall. That's why we go in directions opposite than we want to do. And so Buddha Master says, it's okay. Just act natural, and then you can see what your obstacle is. And then you take care of that. My obstacle is not necessarily yours. Yours is not mine. But we each have to see our own obstacle and work on that. The thing is that when we do, even though we might not have known that was somebody's obstacle, the way they shift and change lets us know that there is something happening in their practice, because they become different. They become different because it's entering into this stream, into this flow, and it's allowing the Dharma stream to take you to your destination. That's the kind of naturalness we have to go in. Now, it's difficult to do that if everybody's looking around to see something in somebody, so we have to spend 99% of our time working on ourselves. And I tell you the truth, it takes up all your day if you do that. Everything that you do, you're looking at how did that come about? How did that come about? How did that come about? It answers the what, the when, the who, the why. It answers all of those other questions for us if we simply ask, how did that come about? And so the practice starts to get, in the beginning, it's difficult because you're trying to understand terminology. You're trying to practice right. You're trying to enter into your vows. You're trying to overcome your frustration with some precepts that you don't agree with. You're doing all of these things. But then you get this invitation that says you've tried really hard, now just relax. And it's that relaxing, that it's a very crucial and important aspect of the journey. Because in there, one starts to find where they are naturally. And you can go around for the second hole. Okay, I've got my rest, I've got my strength back, and now I'm going to go again, But if you don't take those breaks to just see naturally where you are, then you're going to get frustrated with the practice. It will become simply a practice, and you'll never get a chance to actually get into the real game. I'll tell you, the game was fun. Practice is okay, but it's when you get into the real game that it matters. So there's deep and there's shallow wisdom-based insights. When we're learning, we're getting the shallow-based insights. But after we've learned them and we've forgotten about them, that means just put them down, we will begin to get the deep insights. And insights, it's rising up inside of you. Before there was outside, there was the tuition, right? But now there will be the intuition. You'll start answering your own questions. And you'll start solving your own problems. And beyond that, you don't even have to try to solve your problems because of the ripening of good karma begins to it dissolves them. So we shouldn't think as we progress that there is karma in a real sense, and that karma is also not empty. Listen to me carefully, because I don't want you to misunderstand. Karma is also empty. Oh no, it can't be. Then that just cancels out our whole reason for doing everything we're doing. If karma is empty, but if one truly realized the emptiness of karma, that is an awakening. That's the hugest awakening. seeing the emptiness of karma. And that's why he tells so many stories about people who we would say are bad, or doing something uh, unwholesome or something wrong, and yet they had a high level of realization. This one's hard to take, especially when in the beginning when you taught be good, do good, look good, act good, good, right? But then when we go a little further into it, and he talks about cultivating a non-differentiating mind, when one is not seeing good and they're not seeing evil, it's just whatever it is, then it's going to be difficult to enter into that space unless you let go of good and evil. That's where judgment comes from. That's where criticism comes from. That's where envy comes from. That's where jealousy comes from. That differentiation right there. Either towards the other person or towards oneself. I'm as good as she is. There's that comparison right there. Oh, she wasn't all that. It wasn't that great. That kind of criticism right there. What'd you think about it? I didn't think it was so good. What'd you think about it? Yeah. That kind of mind, getting rid of that mind that does that, opens us up to the structure of appearances shift and change for us. And whatever is there in that situation that's worth plucking, we can pluck. Kadar, what is the saying that the Buddha Master said about cats and tiger?
Talks about, he relates six sense spaces as if they were cats. And so there's like a short story he gives of someone is chasing cats. I have,
Can you hear?
oh, you want to microphone? Yeah,
No, hang on.
that one's not
Don't do
plugged
that.
in.
She's gonna-
Okay.
He talks about, there's a lapel, my God.
What's that?
This one's not working. The lapel mic. I think this one's still on.
All right,
Wait,
another one.
he's got another one.
Another one. Yeah, one.
Buddha Master was giving an example as to someone who was constantly distracted by cats, and he was relating the cats to our six sense bases. And he said, if somebody came down from the mountain and said, "Why do you keep engaging with these cats? There's a tiger up there." And someone's telling you that there's a tiger, but you don't believe them, and you just keep engaging with the cats, trying to catch the cats, you actually never end up catching them. And by not believing that there was a tiger, you end up not getting the tiger either. And so he was relating the tiger to prajna, and basically saying that it's there. We just have to let go of our attachment to trying to catch the cats, because we will never catch it.
So those six sense bases, are what we think and see and hear and taste and touch and smell. And that's what basically governs our perspective of the world, our impressions of people, and our impressions of ourselves, And so he's encouraging us to stop making decisions, to stop making assessments based on that. And that really requires something, because that requires us letting go of ourselves. And everybody wants to be known as they are. We like our individuality. We like, what makes me me. But there is a me that can emerge that can be as vast as an ocean. A me that can emerge that can be the perfect thing that's needed for the moment if I don't latch on to the information coming from the six sense spaces. And that's an active part of practice that we have to do. We have to do it. So when we get together, sometimes, we so get into our thing. That's why we like to get together. We so get into our thing. But in our coming together, in our times together, we should be pondering the deep things of the Dharma. Not forming girls' clubs and boys' clubs and so forth, but really coming together to as Dharma friends, and allowing something else to emerge in the conversation that puts us into a neutral space. And then there's going to be a joy that comes out of that. That's a joy that the world didn't give you, and the world's not going to be able to take it away. This is called practicing deeply. And there's two kinds of practicing deeply. Practicing deeply, there is a kind that does not have a differentiating wisdom. I'll say it like that. And there's one that is devoid of differentiation. There's two kinds. The first one, you have to use on a superficial level, to be able to navigate in the world. But once you get that down in dharmic practice, you're going for a non-differentiating wisdom that is deeper than the information that comes to you through the sense gates. And the only way that one can touch that, ironically, is that they have to give up all that they think they know that tells them what this situation is. And it sounds counterproductive. It is definitely counterintuitive. But if one does that, then insights can arise. Wisdom that rises up from within that we keep tamped down can begin to emerge. It feels a little bit uncomfortable. You feel a little bit unsure when it starts to arise like that. So you want, am I thinking right about this? But something starts to rise up in you, and you need to ask somebody, sometimes. And sometimes somebody will ask me, and I'll say, yes, yeah, I know that feels uncomfortable because you're so used to using a surface kind of knowing, but now it's going deeper, and you find that there's a deeper knowing that's rising up, and it's so strange to you because you haven't used that, so you don't know its voice yet. So you have to spend time, with it. You have to come back and check it against the Dharma, and then you get more and more confident in the voice that's rising up in you from the inside. And it's a lovely journey for that to unfold. If we don't break away from the characteristic of emptiness, and that's why he talks about humility. The further we go in the practice, the more he talks about humility. The further we go into practice, the more he talks about overlooking a slight, tolerating a fault. The more and more you are required, the strong bear the infirmities of the weak. Not the weak, you got to get your act together. The strong bear the infirmities of the weak. So if you say that I am strong, then you should be the one who's able to hold the container rather than people rearranging it to suit you. There's from there's another axiom that we can use, like the faults of others are my faults. The faults of others are my faults. Who can say that? Not the one who's finding fault with people. I mean, they can't enter into that state. First, they have to know that state exists. They have to desire to attain it. And then they have to do the work that's required to enter, which is to cast down, to throw down the thoughts that arise that they project on others, that condemn, that criticize, or that see their failings, or that they're jealous of, or envious of. All of these things. This takes work. This is not an easy man's job. It's not a lazy man's path to realization. You know, that I'm just going to sit on a rock and meditate all day. You know, there is work that is done, and 90% of the work is done off the pillow. The Buddha said that in the when you find a teacher, that when he said, and he says, when you find a teacher that criticizes you, stay with that teacher. He doesn't mean stay with somebody who's abusive or who does not have your good intentions in mind, or, you know, but he's saying one that can help point you to your faults because they know what your heart desires. They say, oh, I see, but you got to move that right there, you know. He says, stay with that teacher and you'll have quick progress. And he says that all of us must pass through this route. We're not going to genie our way into being bodhisattvas. We can't blink, click our heels 3 times. You know, it takes a transformation. But this is the way. He says, don't be scared. And know that this is not so hard. It's not so difficult. Learn something, and when you've got it in you good enough, then just forget about it. And we'll see. When nobody's watching, will that child steal that piece of candy? You know, I mean, you don't even have to teach children to steal. You don't have to teach them. Children will steal. Your child will steal. You just know, I've taught my child. And so sometimes the police comes back and the son has done something. He says, not my son, you know, because I taught them this and I taught them that. But you can just take a 2-year-old and they'll be looking to see if you said no to the candy. They'll be looking to see if you're around. So that means they understand no to the candy. And then they'll like steal it and put it in their pocket, you know. So you don't have to, these habits that we have that get watered and then they mature, so they show up. It's not because somebody has taught us that. And so we can understand then that when we're not acting at our best, that's why we can have compassion. If you really understand how the kilesas arise, then you can have true compassion for people. And you can deeply feel their suffering when they want to be a different way, but yet they are this way. And the best way that we can help them is not always by pointing out something, you know, but by showing them another way that they can be in the moment. So can I use you, Joe?
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I can always.
I kind of knew it was coming.
See, Joe. That's why. That's because you're so bad. You always know something is coming. But Joe was talking yesterday after the talk, and Joe is learning something right now that is really, really beneficial for him. So he's on it. He's on it like a tiger, you know, because it's benefiting him, you know. So he's right on it, and so he said what he was going to say, and that was all true, and that was all very good. But that was not the only way to accomplish that, and that actually. And so I was just in something that they read and reiterating a point that Buddha Master was making was a little bit different from Joe's experience with what he's working on right now that helps with that particular view or that particular way. And And so I shared, he said, and he went right back to where he was with his view. I said, yeah, Joe, but this is what he's trying to share. And a different way to look at it, he said, yeah, I get it. And he went back to his view. And finally, I just laughed and said, Joseph.
Oh, he's in trouble now.
But Joseph stopped the attachment to that view being the view, the universal view, you know. And so that's how we are when we find something that works for us. We tenaciously cling to it, and in clinging to it, we create, another obstacle. So that's why he's trying to teach us how to hold things lightly, even the good things that we learn, even the things that are transforming us, not to latch around them, because then we'll be locked into a view, and out of 100 situations, we'll try to apply that one view to every situation, and it's not what's suitable for the time, for the condition, for the person, and even for you, And so that's how we broaden and we expand in the process. So I'm happy to hear like a new Dharma, a new thing. All the time I'm happy. And then as the day goes by, that I don't find a new thing or resurrect an old thing that I forgot about. I can't remember all of this, And so I love to do it because, and just that one little line makes me so happy, just that one thing. It's just like having a basket of fruit, and you eat a cherry, you eat a grape, and they all have a different taste. But I just don't want just one bowl of one thing, and then we learn. And if we continually do that, we will enter into a state that breaks away from characteristics of existence. It will break away from the hard, concrete views that we hold of what something is. We'll look at something and we don't have to make it anything. We don't have to have a commentary on it, We don't have to have a commentary on everything. We don't have to constantly be looking at something and making it anything. And in that way, life takes on a different kind of, your activity becomes different. You may be doing the very same things. It doesn't mean that you change necessarily what you're doing. It's how you enter into what you're doing. So in the beginning, we stopped doing this, we stopped doing this, we stopped doing this, because I'm on a mission right now, and this will take me to my goal. But later on, once we become disciplined with ourselves and we start to see its empty nature, we can pick it up, and it doesn't become something that trips us up. It doesn't becoming, in music, coming up in undergrad school, I changed my major because every musician and every singer I knew was neurotic. No matter how good they sound, they didn't feel like they sound good enough. Except for if you were also singing, they were sure they sound better than you. And so there was something in that whole thing that everybody in the department was crazy. And I said, this is no good, This will make me a monster because they are monsters, And so I gave up. I gave up music and I went into business. I don't have to tell you. And I looked at what motivates business people and what makes their mind like, this is neurotic. They're all crazy. So I have to give that up. I give that up. Now I come to the Dharma. Now I'm going to get neurotic about the Dharma. So I'm starting to see it's not the thing. The neurotic, what's the word? Neuroticism, is that a word? Neurosis, yeah. We're getting old. The neurosis, is in the grasping around false appearances. Now I'm saying this, but I know different people are hearing different things, or getting it on different levels, and that's fine. But it's that neurosis that we have to abandon, not the 10,000 things. It's abandoning that neurosis. So part of what the Theravada practice does for us is it points out the dangers in things and that we need to detach from it. But it doesn't mean, so in a way, the attachment is not in holding the thing. The attachment is where one's mind is in regards to a thing. So intention matters. Two people can do the same thing, but with two different intentions. And that makes one of them beneficial and useful, and makes another not. So we have to know our intention. And once I know my intention, if it needs correcting, now I know what to do. Doesn't necessarily mean I have to abandon something or give something up. It could mean I need to abandon it and give it up. Who decides that? We do. I decide. You don't decide for me. I don't decide for you. But just put it out there, and then we decide, this is helpful for me. This is not helpful for me. I have decided that reading the novels is not beneficial for me. It takes a lot of my energy. I liked reading it because I could create my own, picture of what's happening, my own story, as opposed to a drama being set for me, on TV. But now that's, I get the gist, I get the idea, just stop judging, and I can just sort of like mind your business. Don't try to fix everything for everybody. Don't even think everybody needs fixing. He might be all right just like he is. So all I'm doing is sharing a view, a way to look at something. I'm not trying to fix Joe. I don't think Joe needs fixing. Joe might think he needs fixing. If so, Joe will work on fixing that. And I say, Joe, I see you working at something that's important to you, but don't take it too far. Just relax with it a little bit more. And you make more progress. You love yourself. First, we love ourselves till somebody says there's something wrong with me. Then I start hating myself if I see that and say, oh, well, that's true. And then we have to go back to loving ourselves. You can only love someone with the love that you have for yourself. So if you're gritting on people, you need to love yourself a little bit more. I think we want to be enlightened tomorrow because we, and I was thinking about there's billions of worlds, not just this one. There's billions of worlds. And I'm always thinking, maybe if I don't get off the wheel of samsara and don't enter into a pure land, there's lots of other worlds that I could be okay in, for a while. And I'll finish there. What I don't want, I just want to reach the stage where I don't have to come back to this one, that is governed by causality. Until one awakens to the emptiness of karma. Yeah. So that's where we're heading. First we say there is this. Next we say there isn't this. And the mind has to decide, not just through analysis, through thinking, but through just acting naturally, whether there is or there isn't. This part nobody can do for us. This part we have to do for ourselves. And it gets to be a really good journey. You can spend a lot of time examining with yourself. And I know that everyone in this Sangha is touching on this middle way, because I see it in your behaviors. You know, people don't have to really give me a check-in, you know, because I know. I mean, it's okay to give a check-in. I'm not saying don't give one. If you want to share something, it's delightful. But I want you to know that you're not just sitting there ruminating in your mind about things. Because the thing is, once you start to know yourself, you start to know everybody else. Once you start to know yourself, it's like and move into that non-differentiating space of you know of equality. He calls it equality. I am you, you are me. Then I can know your mind like I know my mind. If I don't know my mind, you can guarantee that I don't know you. I just think I do or surmise something about you. But once you start to know yourself, you also start to know every mind that comes before you. This is not this just goes naturally with the Dharma. Goes naturally with the light in the room, just like when we had the light on dim, you know, and then we could all see. But when we turn this light on bright, we can really see. And when you turn it on, it's shocking. It's jarring to us. That's why the light has to be a, you know, that, we call that thing a dimmer where it gradually. Otherwise, it's shocking to our eyes. It can really throw us off, you know. So don't want the light to be suddenly bright. It's blinding. And then you might never you might lose your sight, never in this lifetime encounter or break through. So it's okay if the light comes up using the dimmer apparatus. Just let it come up gradually. Do keep looking. Do keep adjusting the dimmer, I'll say, but learning how to act naturally in the process. And then when we visit with our families, or when we visit with our friends, or even when we encounter old friends, or when you meet new friends, you know, they will see the light of the wisdom that's in us. We don't have to act in any kind of contrived way. We don't have to try to do anything for them. We don't have to try to be anything for them. We're just the light. He said that light is like the sun. The sun shines without any idea or notion that it is shining on you. Just act naturally. And so as we're closing today, I like to go back to that song because that song touched me really deeply. For those who are hurting, it's such a heartfelt song. That one needs to be submitted to the contest. And this being touched by the vicissitudes of life that others may be going through. It is very much like Samul, the beginning stages of Samul, where one is considering the suffering and the pain of others rather than judging them. They're being touched by their infirmities, and what they utter on their behalf is Om Mani Padme. So this time I want you to not like watch him like he's performing or like the musicians are entertaining us, but we're just entering into the story and we're entering into the offering that we are giving on their behalf. And just let it take you wherever it takes you. So more than watching, we're listening. So Maureen, can you turn the light back down?
Turn the light back there.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you.
And whatever parts you pick up, sing along with him. He's not an entertainer. Whatever parts touch you deeply, you can sing louder, you can sing soft, but just feel your way into it and how one starts to actually emanate out from oneself, becoming less and less concrete and entering more into the vibration of the song and the offering to the holy beings, and joining with the Bodhi mind.
Sometimes the darkness calls me, swears my soul to keep. That's when I start drinking, drink myself to sleep. Drink to all that's holy, and I drink to the hole in me. Drink to all that's broken, drink to everything. I say, oh, Mani Padme Hum. I will not bear this burden alone. Sometimes when sleep is falling, in the distance I can see a tiny candle burning, a new reality. Well, that's when I start hoping, that's when I pray. Someday I'll awaken, it's not so far away. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Will not bear this burden alone. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Such a heavy load, I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. I will not bear this burden alone. No, Mani Padme Hum. Such a heavy load, I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Songs for all who suffer, for all who've lost their way, for the ones that can't remember bright and sunny day. The songs for all who hunger to awaken from this dream. The songs for all who wonder, is there still some hope for me? Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Will not bear this burden alone. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Such a heavy load, this burden alone. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Such a heavy load, I will let go. Padme Hum.
You will not bear this burden alone. Right now, we're giving our hearts over and we're being touched by the infirmities of others and we're bearing them up. This is our spiritual practice, that we bear the infirmities of the weak. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. You will not bear this burden alone. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Such a heavy load, I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. I will not bear this burden alone. You will not, when you sing it next time, you will not bear this burden alone. We're bearing one another up now.
Heavy load, I will let go.
Oh,
Mani Padme Hum.
and we are rousing our confidence to be able to bear the burdens, of others. Mani Padme Hum. You will not bear this burden alone. Oh, Mani Padme Hum.
Such a heavy load, I will let go.
Oh, Mani Padme. One more time. You will not bear this burden alone.
You
Oh, Mani Padme Hum. You will not bear these burdens alone. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Such a heavy load, I will let go. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum.
Padme Hum.
Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. There's someone to offer.
May we offer the merit from our time together to our family members, our friends, our Sangha members, and all living beings. May we do all things naturally and for the benefit of others. And may we realize this great, great opportunity we have to share the Dharma and to live the Dharma and to become the Dharma. May all be liberated immediately and free from cyclic existence.